Have you ever imagined a world where you could leave reality behind, step into a universe limited only by your imagination, and feel as though the impossible becomes possible? Virtual reality, or VR, promises exactly that. A doorway into alternate worlds, adventures and experiences that transcend the ordinary. But what if I told you that every step you take into these digital landscapes comes with hidden costs, some of which may not be apparent until years later? Escaping reality might seem harmless, even thrilling, but the financial, psychological, and social toll can be staggering. Right now, VR is everywhere. From gaming enthusiasts donning headsets to corporations using virtual simulations for training, the technology has moved from the realm of science fiction into daily life. Early adopters boast about immersive adventures where they can climb mountains, explore the oceans, or fight dragons without ever leaving their living rooms. But behind the allure of these experiences lies a different story, one that most users rarely see. The first shock comes in the form of cost. High-end VR headsets are no longer niche devices. They are expensive, often costing hundreds to thousands of dollars. This is just the entry point. The devices require powerful computers or consoles, which add another layer of investment. Then there are the constantly updating games, applications, and subscription services, each one demanding more money, attention, and sometimes exclusive hardware add-ons. Over time, what begins as a fun escape can turn into a serious financial burden. Yet, the cost isn't only measured in dollars. VR has an insidious way of altering how we experience the real world. Studies show that extended use of VR can lead to cognitive fatigue, disorientation, and even dissociation from reality. Users can find themselves more comfortable in the virtual environment than in real life, creating subtle, long-term psychological consequences. Social relationships may begin to suffer as individuals prioritize virtual interaction over face-to-face connections. Isolation can creep in, often unnoticed, as the mind adjusts to a world of endless digital stimulation. The history of VR offers clues to these hidden dangers. The concept has existed for decades, dating back to experimental head-mounted displays in the 1960s. Early users marveled at the promise of immersive experiences, but reports of motion sickness, visual strain, and disconnection from reality appeared almost immediately. As technology advanced, these side effects didn't disappear, they evolved. Today, VR headsets are lighter, more powerful, and visually stunning, but the underlying human response to immersion remains. Motion sickness, eye strain, and neurological fatigue are common, especially with prolonged use. Ignoring these effects can have long-term consequences, impacting daily life and overall well-being. Financially, the VR ecosystem is complex. Beyond the initial headset purchase, consumers are often lured into a continuous cycle of spending. Developers release new games and updates with compelling features that require purchase or subscription. Virtual goods and in-game currencies create microtransactions that accumulate rapidly. For some users, the monthly costs of VR can surpass traditional hobbies like sports, travel, or entertainment. It's easy to underestimate how quickly expenses escalate, especially when the allure of new worlds constantly tempts the user. Moreover, companies are leveraging behavioral psychology to keep users engaged and spending. Reward systems, achievements, and immersive narratives encourage longer play sessions and more frequent purchases. This strategic design ensures that the virtual world is not just engaging, but monetarily demanding. Users may not realize how deeply they are entangled, both emotionally and financially, until the cumulative costs become apparent. Beyond money, VR can alter perception and cognitive patterns. Experiencing alternate realities daily can influence how the brain interprets sensory input, decision-making, and emotional responses. Extended immersion can reduce attention spans for real-world tasks, increase risk-taking in virtual environments that may translate poorly to reality, and even lead to distorted self-perception. Individuals may struggle with separating what is virtual from what is actual, leading to psychological stress that quietly accumulates over months and years. Socially, VR changes how humans interact. Traditional social cues, body language, and real-time empathy are replaced with avatars and virtual interactions. While VR communities can be supportive and creative, they also risk creating echo chambers where virtual validation outweighs authentic human connection. Real-life relationships may weaken as time spent in virtual spaces grows, potentially leading to isolation, loneliness, or strained personal bonds. The hidden cost is not just personal, it's relational, affecting family, friends, and professional networks. Physical risks must also be considered. VR requires constant visual focus, head movement, and sometimes physical activity. Extended sessions can lead to eye strain, neck pain, headaches, and postural issues. Accidents in real life while immersed, such as tripping over furniture or colliding with objects, are common. These physical consequences are compounded by the immersive nature of VR, where the user may underestimate real-world boundaries. Over time, these risks can result in both short-term injuries and chronic physical strain. Looking ahead, the growth of VR is unprecedented. Analysts predict billions of users worldwide within the next decade. Industries from entertainment to education, healthcare, and corporate training are integrating VR at astonishing rates. Yet as adoption grows, so too does the hidden cost. With every new user, the market expands, but the potential for psychological, social, and financial impact escalates as well. Understanding this duality is essential. The technology is revolutionary, but it is not without consequences. The first step toward managing these costs is awareness. Knowing the financial investment, the psychological effects, and the social implications enables informed decision-making. Just as one wouldn't ignore the side effects of a powerful medication, VR users must recognize the hidden price of their escape. Time management, budget allocation, and mindfulness in VR usage are key strategies to mitigate risk. In the next segment, we will dive deeper into the psychological impact of VR, exploring real-world studies and personal stories that illustrate how immersion can subtly shift our minds. We'll examine how dependence can develop, why our brains respond so strongly to virtual environments, and what steps can be taken to prevent unintended consequences. The journey into virtual reality is exhilarating, but without awareness, the cost of escaping reality can be far greater than anyone anticipates. As we move deeper into the hidden costs of virtual reality, it becomes clear that the psychological and social impacts are among the most profound. VR, with its immersive environments, has the power to reshape how we think, feel, and interact. Users often report a sense of euphoria and complete presence in digital worlds, but prolonged exposure can alter cognitive patterns in ways that are subtle, cumulative, and sometimes alarming. Research indicates that extended VR use can lead to dissociation, a mental state where individuals feel disconnected from their physical surroundings. In some cases, users may begin to prioritize virtual interactions over real-life relationships, creating a gradual shift in social dynamics. Online VR communities can be incredibly engaging, but they may inadvertently encourage isolation. When the brain receives more stimulation from virtual connections than from face-to-face interactions, social skills and empathy may weaken over time. The hidden cost here is emotional and relational. Friendships, family bonds, and professional networks can erode as digital immersion becomes the primary mode of social engagement. Dependence on VR is another critical concern. Unlike traditional entertainment, VR provides a sense of presence and interactivity that is difficult to replicate outside of the headset. Gamers and users can spend hours or even entire days inside virtual environments without noticing the passage of time. This intense engagement can foster patterns of compulsive use, similar to behavioral addictions observed in gaming or social media. Users may struggle to disengage, prioritizing virtual achievements over real-world responsibilities, career goals, or health. Financial implications compound these psychological effects. Continuous engagement with VR platforms often drives additional spending. Subscription models, microtransactions, and exclusive content create ongoing financial obligations. What starts as a one-time purchase of a headset can evolve into a recurring expense that strains budgets. In extreme cases, users may incur debt to maintain their VR lifestyle, sacrificing essential expenses for the allure of digital escape. This combination of psychological dependence and financial pressure represents a hidden, often overlooked cost that few anticipate before entering the VR ecosystem. Physical risks are equally significant. The very immersion that makes VR compelling also increases the likelihood of accidents. Users moving within limited spaces may trip, collide with furniture, or lose balance. Repeated head movements, prolonged focus on near screens, and standing for long periods can lead to eye strain, neck and back pain, headaches, and long-term postural issues. Some studies have even suggested that extended VR exposure can affect depth perception and coordination in real-world tasks, creating subtle but meaningful changes in motor skills. Beyond individual users, VR has implications for workplaces, schools, and social systems. As VR becomes more integrated into professional training, education, and entertainment, institutions must consider safety protocols, mental health support, and financial accessibility. Ignoring these considerations can lead to widespread negative outcomes, including increased stress, decreased productivity, and socio-economic divides between those who can afford high-end VR and those who cannot. Looking forward, the VR industry is expected to expand exponentially. Analysts predict billions of users worldwide within the next decade, with technology becoming increasingly sophisticated, affordable, and integrated into daily life. Augmented and mixed reality platforms will blur the lines further between physical and virtual experiences, amplifying both the potential benefits and hidden costs. Users who are not prepared for these changes may find themselves overwhelmed by the demands, risks, and expenses associated with deep virtual engagement. Strategic approaches are critical to mitigating these hidden costs. Time management is essential. Scheduling VR sessions, setting limits, and maintaining a balance with real-world activities can prevent psychological dependency and physical strain. Financial planning should include budgeting for VR expenses and avoiding impulsive purchases within digital environments. Users must cultivate awareness of their emotional and social responses to VR, ensuring that real-world relationships remain prioritized. Education and mindfulness can help individuals recognize when VR is enhancing life versus when it is replacing meaningful experiences. Emerging research emphasizes the need for moderation. Controlled studies show that short, structured VR sessions can enhance learning, creativity, and mental engagement. However, uncontrolled, excessive use is linked to cognitive fatigue, emotional withdrawal, and social isolation. The difference between benefit and harm often comes down to conscious decision-making, self-discipline, and structured usage. In the next segment, we will explore practical strategies for responsible VR engagement, balancing the thrill of digital immersion with real-world health, social, and financial stability. We'll also examine case studies of individuals and organizations that successfully navigate this balance, highlighting actionable insights for anyone looking to enjoy VR without paying the hidden price. As we reach the final part of our exploration into virtual reality's hidden costs, it is essential to focus on actionable strategies that allow users to enjoy immersive experiences without compromising their financial stability, psychological well-being, or social life. Understanding the challenges is one thing, but knowing how to navigate them is what determines the long-term impact of VR. First, let's address time management. Establishing limits on daily or weekly VR use is critical. Structured sessions, combined with real-world breaks, can prevent cognitive fatigue and reduce the risk of dissociation from reality. Many successful VR users follow a schedule that balances entertainment with productivity, ensuring that VR remains a tool for enrichment rather than an escape that dominates their lives. Financial discipline is another cornerstone. Users should budget for VR expenses carefully, including hardware, software, subscriptions, and in-game purchases. Avoiding impulsive spending is essential. Just because a virtual item or experience is available doesn't mean it is necessary. Tracking costs over time and setting spending caps ensures that VR engagement does not create financial strain or debt. Mindfulness and self-awareness play a critical role in managing psychological impacts. Recognize signs of overuse, such as neglecting responsibilities, avoiding social interactions, or prioritizing virtual achievements over real-world goals. Journaling experiences, reflecting on emotional responses, and discussing VR usage with trusted friends or family can help maintain a healthy perspective. This approach transforms VR from a potentially harmful escape into a consciously enjoyed experience. Social engagement should not be overlooked. Maintaining strong relationships outside of VR is essential. Scheduling in-person interactions, participating in community activities, and balancing online with offline connections prevents isolation and preserves real-world social skills. VR can enhance socialization when used responsibly, but it should complement, not replace, meaningful human interactions. Physical health strategies are equally important. Designate safe spaces for VR activities to minimize accidents. Take regular breaks to rest eyes, stretch, and maintain proper posture. Incorporating physical exercises outside of VR can counteract the sedentary nature of prolonged immersion. Protective measures and mindful movement prevent injuries and ensure that VR use remains safe and sustainable over time. Education about VR's potential risks and benefits empowers users to make informed choices. Stay informed on new research, emerging technologies, and evolving best practices. Understanding both the exciting possibilities and the hidden pitfalls allows users to maximize the positive impact of VR while minimizing harm. Awareness transforms VR from a passive indulgence into a strategic tool for personal growth and entertainment. Case studies illustrate the power of conscious VR use. For example, companies implementing VR training programs often set strict session durations, provide guidance for healthy use, and monitor employee engagement to prevent fatigue or dependency. Gamers who schedule VR playtime, limit in-game spending, and maintain social connections report higher satisfaction, lower stress, and better overall life balance. These examples demonstrate that the key to benefiting from VR lies in deliberate and mindful practices. Now, consider the ultimate revelation. Escaping reality through VR is not free. The cost is not just financial, it encompasses mental, social, and physical domains. Users who are unaware, impulsive, or unstructured may find themselves paying far more than they anticipated. But those who approach VR with awareness, discipline, and balance can experience the thrill of immersive worlds without sacrificing real-life well-being. The choice is yours. Will you let VR control your life, or will you control your VR experience? In conclusion, Virtual reality is a transformative technology that offers unparalleled experiences, but it carries hidden prices that must be recognized and managed. By implementing strategies for time management, financial discipline, psychological mindfulness, social engagement, and physical safety, users can navigate the VR landscape responsibly. The ultimate decision lies in conscious, informed use. Embrace VR as a tool, not a crutch. Finally, ask yourself, what is the true cost of escaping reality? Comment below and share your experiences with VR. Have you experienced the hidden price, or are you navigating this digital frontier wisely? Engage, reflect, and take control of both your virtual adventures and your real-world life.